Good morning. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners. The date is Tuesday, January 19th, 2016, and it's about 9:02. Roll call.
Let the record reflect Commissioners Ibarra, Glacier, Ninberg, Hara, and Woods Gray are present, and we have a quorum. Madam President?
Thank you. Flag salute, Movement of Silence.
Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
Please remain standing and join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department who devote their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
We start with Commissioner comments.
Good morning, and Happy New Year to everyone. It's nice to see everybody. I had the opportunity over the last several weeks. I spent some time with the fast response vehicle downtown, so that was a fun afternoon with some of our really talented medics out there. They really seem like a great group. One of the members I spent some time with was a former combat medic, and really, it's great to see our veterans bringing their skills to our fire department. I also got an opportunity to see our Thames folks at work at a call-up, which was interesting, and interesting to see how they integrate with the SWAT teams. And then I spent an evening with Fire Station 71 and over in the Westwood adjacent, Holmby Hills adjacent area. So that was, I appreciate their time hosting me. Thanks.
Commissioner Woods Gray and I had the pleasure of participating in the Kingdom Day Parade. And I've got to really hand it to her husband, though. The entire parade, he was standing up and waving to everyone. Whereas Chief Arbuthnot, Rideout, and Castro, basically, and we waved, but not to the extent that her husband did.
He does enjoy the parade too much. Good morning and Happy New Year. I knew it seemed something strange about walking in here. I forgot we didn't meet the last time. But Happy New Year to everyone. And I did enjoy attending the Martin Luther King Parade again because, again, you always see how favorite the fire department is with the community and the children and the adults. They love to hear the siren and the whistles from the fire. They give us signals, they want to hear it. So they really enjoy seeing the fire department, and it's great that you guys are our heroes, and they know that you take good care of the city. So they're very pleased to see you at all times. I also had the pleasure of attending the State of the Union speech in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday last week. And that was also a real treat to be in the room with the president speaking for the last time, historical speech to the Congress, members of Congress, and the Senate and the Supreme Court and everybody else, the cabinet. And the Run for Remembrance, someone sent me an email who I shall not name. They wanted to know if I was running, walking, or cheering. I'm going to let you guys decide. I will be there.
I'll have some water for you at mile 5 for.
I will be there. So I encourage all the rest of you to join me so you can find out whether I'm running, walking, or cheering. Oh, thank you. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Ninberg. I'm just going to introduce myself. I am the newest commissioner. This is my second commission meeting. I am playing a lot of catch-up. I'm visiting a lot of fire stations, meeting with a lot of people, and I want to say thank you all so much for your professionalism and your warm welcome. Thank you. I look forward to working with every single one of you.
I'm sorry, I forgot on the apologies on the fast response vehicle ride. I forgot to say when they picked me up, they were actually on. I had just missed a save that they had gotten. It was actually really fortuitous, the timing, because they really demonstrated the value of that unit. They had responded to a cardiac arrest in a subway station at MacArthur Park, at Pershing Square, had gotten there in 2 minutes, and they had saved an 82-year-old. I believe I may be stealing some thunder from Dr. Eckstein. I apologize, but it was amazing to see. You know, they picked me up. I saw the ambulance blow by, and then they picked me up. I just happened to be on their route. But these guys, they got there super fast, and I think that 2-minute response from them, not being in quarters, being in the area, it really just like proved the model to me right there. So I just wanted to say that was an amazing sort of happenstance to be able to kind of nearly witness it, but be right there and actually followed. They picked me up. I followed the other ambulance. The ambulance had gone to the hospital. I was able to kind of go and this guy was breathing on his own by the time they got to the hospital. It was quite a save.
Thanks. So, report of the fire chief.
Thank you, Madam President. It has been a little while since we've been together, so I apologize for the length, but I'll try to be brief. On December 17th, we had our annual Fire Department Staff Appreciation Luncheon for the holidays. Thank you, Chief Rideout, for putting that on with your people. It was a standing room only crowd at Hodgkins Training Center. That night, we had the most wonderful time of the year, LAFD Toy Drive at the Stock Exchange Club in downtown LA. Very successful event. We accumulated a lot of toys. December 24th, I attended Supply Maintenance Annual Holiday Pancake Breakfast, another standing room crowd. They clean up the shops. They have an annual inspection, and kids everywhere, Santa Claus. It was a great event. On January 4th, we had the CAL FIRE Training Serious Incident Review Team at our Hodgkins Training Facility, and that is to investigate firefighter injuries and fatalities at emergency incidents. That was a labor management effort, us and UFLAC, and we extended it to LA County Fire and their union, as well as CAL FIRE and their union. So we can actually support each other's departments. We have one of our chiefs helping Monrovia do that this week. So that's a great effort, and it's unprecedented that we've never done that before. So I think that's great. And then we had on January 7th a public safety breakfast with the LAPD command staff and the LAFD command staff across the street here. And it was more of a to reinforce existing relationships and to get on the same page in case we have a large-scale event, any type of event, like an earthquake, El Nino, or a terrorist event. Now we want to make sure we know what each other's department is doing, and it was excellent. We plan on doing that more frequently. The next day, we had a paramedic school graduation ceremony at Ron Deaton Hall across the street as well. We have some LAFD members that were becoming paramedics, as well as some cadets that we sponsored to become paramedics. That's something that we really need to do more of. I want to send the message that paramedics are very important, they're valued, and that's where we're going. Someday, all our stations will have a rotational system so that our medics can rotate from fire companies to ambulances. Later that day, I met with the CEO of Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and we took a tour of the facility, and I shared with them that we activated our nurse practitioner response unit in South LA that prior Monday. And we agreed to discuss a partnership with Cedars to establish a NPRU dedicated to the Cedars area. So we're very excited about that potential. January 11th, we had another Leadership Academy class start. I gave opening remarks there. That is a fantastic program. We have about 4 or 5 of those classes throughout the year. We invite civilian and sworn, and we have people from as far away as Las Vegas come to our training academy class, and we get great response from everybody. January 12th, we had the AC 3.0 score interviews, and I'm happy to announce that we're promoting Chief Crowley, Chief Hogan, and Chief Hissong to the rank of Assistant Chief on February 21st. That'll be our next mass promotion, so they did very, very well. I also want to announce that in addition to Chief Deputy Castro, who's already taken his seat, who replaced Chief Rueda, we have identified The replacements, we have Deputy Chief Chuck Butler, soon to be Deputy Chief, on February 21st, replacing Chief Castro in West Bureau. Then we have Chief Trevor Richmond replacing Chief Arbuthnot upon his retirement. He's scheduled to leave in July, so we'll see how that goes. And then we had a Chief Officers Association retirement dinner on January 13th, where we honored Chiefs Kerbrat, Bushman, and Millay. We had about 100 chiefs retired and active at Tay's Restaurant, and it was a very positive, well-received event. And this coming week, we're going to be busy as well. On tomorrow, I'll be at Fire Station 21 to visit the applicant orientation program of the potential new firefighters. So I'll be doing that once a month. They do that every Wednesday. On January 21st, this Thursday, we'll have an all-chiefs meeting at Hotchkiss where we bring all our chiefs together to give them a current events update and to answer any questions. And lastly, Sunday, January 24th, I will be running the LA Run to Remember half marathon with the commissioner. We can be partners, and I look forward to that. We're partnering with the recruitment section, Chief Welch. She's got a female firefighter team that's running a relay, so we're excited about that event, and I'm sure many of the chiefs out in the audience will be running with us. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Chief. So that's announcements and meetings and events. Moving on to verbal report by the department on significant incidents from December 16th through January 19th. Nope. Verbal report by the medical director? Nope. Oh, yes. For December 16th through January 19th.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dr. Mark Eckstein, Medical Director. Happy New Year to everybody. Significant EMS incidents since the last meeting. On December 27th, Engine Rescue 27 were dispatched to the El Capitan Theater for a cardiac arrest. The chain of command worked seamlessly in this incident. Bystander CPR was done. Public access defibrillator was used, transitioning to care by our firefighters and paramedics, resulting in the patient not only regaining pulses but regaining consciousness, resulting in a great save in a very public venue. On January 4th, there was as a result of a widespread LAPD manhunt for a very violent individual, culminated in a police pursuit with a shooting on the 5 freeway in 77's First In. And we transported the victim of the police shooting as well as some civilians injured as the suspect trying to flee police actually went southbound and northbound lanes of the 5 freeway. Fortunately, the injuries to the civilians were not life-threatening. Also on January 4th, in 34's First In, there was a MCI traffic accident resulting in the transport of 4 patients in critical condition, 2 with minor injuries. Total of 7 rescues were assigned to the incident. On January 6th, there was upon returning to quarters, Life Force 94 encountered a victim of multiple gunshot wounds on the apron in front of their fire station in traumatic cardiac arrest, also with what appeared to be a break-in of the fire station. So they called for LAPD backup to clear the fire station, and Rescue 34 transported the victim in grave condition to UCLA. On January 13th, there was a triple shooting in 66's First In, 2 criticals, 1 other victim with non-life-threatening injuries. In terms of a bright note, again, Commissioner Glazer mentioned a recent outstanding save by Fast Response Vehicle 201, which was the 3rd one they've had. That one was the Pershing Square subway station. On January 16th, in 91's First In, the Sylmar area, there was a 14-year-old young man who went into respiratory, then cardiac arrest, apparently from an asthma exacerbation on a soccer field. Also, an outstanding example of the chain of survival, being very strong at each link. Bystander CPR, as directed by our dispatchers at MFC. Basic and advanced life support provided by Engine Rescue 91, and the child regained pulses prior to arrival at Olive View Medical Center. In 105's First In on December 28th, Engine Rescue 105 encountered a 51-year-old gentleman who went into cardiac arrest shortly upon their arrival. It performed seamlessly, expertly, regaining pulses. And in terms of what makes pre-hospital care one of the most gratifying professions you could have, the individual actually contacted them and visited the fire station a week later, fully intact, neurologically intact, without any sequelae. So phenomenal save. And with those kind of station visits, when last time you saw someone, they were clinically dead, and to have a visit like that in the fire station is beyond gratifying, and really shows the work our men and women do every day is beyond heroic and extremely, extremely meaningful. In addition, on December 28th, in the 72's first in, a 13-day-old neonate cardiac arrest, and also our paramedics and firefighters were able to regain pulses on this newborn and transported the patient to West Hills Hospital, subsequently transferred to Children's for definitive care. Then finally, as the chief alluded to, our nurse practitioner response unit, known as NP1, Nurse Practitioner 1, went live on January 4th. And again, this is a very novel program. We're very excited about it. This is a steep learning curve for everybody. And I'll come back in about a month with ongoing data. But so far, the results seem very, very promising. The field's getting accustomed to the capabilities of this resource. And I'm extremely confident this will be incredibly successful and lead to the expansion of this concept. And if there are no questions, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. So now moving on to presentations. I think we have one.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Daniel Curry. I'm a captain assigned as the Public Information Officer for the department. Every day, the LAFD transports well over 500 people to emergency rooms across the city. For the most part, our firefighter paramedics never find out if their patient survives and if the treatment they delivered had a positive effect. Today, one patient who had a very bleak outlook is here to personally let her rescuers know she survived and thank them for being experts in the field. On June 4th, 2014, LAFD Resources responded to incident number 741. 14-year-old Taylor Smith and several other students were crossing Magnolia Boulevard in North Hollywood, adjacent to the 170 freeway. A car that was exiting the freeway struck 3 girls, including Taylor. She sustained multiple fractures, including a fractured skull. The head trauma caused Taylor to have 5 separate areas of bleeding on the brain. She spent several weeks in a coma and a total of 64 days in the hospital. Taylor has since returned to school after completing multiple months of physical therapy. Although she still has some fine motor skills to work on, she has made miraculous improvement. Taylor and her mom have already visited and thanked some of the LAFD members privately, but when she heard the rescuers were being recognized today at commission, she wanted to be a part of it. At this time, I'd like to call up Taylor Smith and her mother, Laurel Carini.
Thank you, Captain Curry. It's hard for me to stand here and sum up my gratitude. I'm going to try not to get super emotional, but as a parent, you never want this call. And I also know that as a fire department, you don't want this call. There were 3 girls injured. Taylor flew 40 to 50 feet across the 4 lanes of street and wasn't supposed to make it. And she's here, and of course we're thrilled. And we are so grateful to Tony and Dean, who Taylor has a traumatic brain injury. And I know a lot about brain injury. And the most important thing is the first 60 minutes is so critical to their recovery, and who those people were and who was by her side at that moment is very important. And Dean and Tony will never forget you. Just as human beings, I feel like we're all here to, just matter and do something great. And you guys every day dare greatly, and you go in this arena and you are heroic and you do all these amazing things. And never in my life did I think I'd be standing here saying that this happened to my child. But she's here, and I thank you, Tony and Dean. I'm so grateful to both of you.
I would like to, thank you. So not only would I like to thank the fire department for being so heroic, I would like to especially thank Dean and Anthony. You guys are the two most heroic people I know, and to say thank you isn't nearly enough. Words, they don't even begin to express my gratitude. And the entire fire department, Dean and Anthony and everyone, what you do, you're all my heroes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to call up the members that were on scene that day. Battalion Chief Corey Rose, Captain 2 Sheldon McCowan. If you could all please step forward. Apparatus Operator Richard Kirkwood, Engineer Stephen Hazard, Engineer Brandon Nunez, Firefighter 3 Timothy Colomb, Apparatus Operator Kuniyuki Kasahara, Firefighter 3 Paramedic Dean Comer, and Firefighter 3 Paramedic Anthony Farrow. And I will read the certificate of appreciation to these members. In recognition and sincere gratitude of your heroic courage, diligent efforts, and expedient assistance, which contributed to saving the life of Miss Taylor Smith on June 4th, 2014, and ultimately resulted in her recovery, the Los Angeles Fire Department commends you for your extraordinary life-saving efforts to a citizen of the City of Los Angeles, presented this 19th day of January 2016, to be signed by Fire Chief Ralph Terrazas.
I'd like to add a couple of comments to this. Taylor and Taylor's mom, thank you for coming today. I think when we respond on these types of incidents, an auto-ped, we don't know who exactly we're going to respond to, but we're already thinking about what has to be done. And you see the number of people here. There's a lot of different things that have to go on. I understand from this incident we had multiple patients. So we were probably spread thin, and each one of them had a job to do. And when you get on scene of an accident like this and you see that it's a young child, the parent in us really tugs at your heart. But the professionals that we are, we focus on what has to be done to get through this as quickly as possible, to get them to the hospital so they can begin getting the proper care. And your showing up today reinforces why we're here, because some nights it's pretty tough. And they'll tell you that multiple runs and they're not all successful outcomes. So when we hear such a touching story like this, it reinforces why we're here and what we do. So I honor you. I thank you for coming here, and thank you to the members of Los Angeles Fire Department. I'm very proud of you. Thank you. Chief, you want to say anything? I'm crying.
Well, you know, God works in great ways, and we are so happy that you're here. When we saw you at the fire station some 6 months ago, and saw that bright, smiling, beautiful face, we were all so happy. I commend these guys for the work that they do. They work tirelessly, and they work for a reason. They work to save the lives and protect the lives of those in and around the city of Los Angeles. And their training, their dedication to doing what's best for everybody here, I think just proved itself. And the chief is so right when he says, we have some tireless nights, but we as fathers and as mothers, when we attach ourselves to these incidents, when we have kids and we see teenagers like yourself that are injured, we really need to compartmentalize and do what's best for you because we're so attached. But these guys are able to do that. And you know what? We are so happy to see you here today. God bless you guys.
No, I'm missing people. I'm missing people. Yes. So, yeah. That is a pretty standard. I think, I mean, as a lawyer, I know why they do non-compete. So you can tell me. Yeah, I think it's pretty standard in all contracts to do non-competes. Specific reason here. I mean, it could just be that they didn't take it out of the standard contract and you just leave it in to be safe. But I'll look at it. Did you set a non-compete when you sold Derby Dogs? When you sold Derby Dogs, did you have a non-compete?
Good to go, Madam President.
Okay. Sometimes yes, when you sell business, yes. Moving on to the consent agenda items.
Okay, move to adopt the recommendation for item 4A.
All in favor?
Need a second.
Oh,
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
all in favor, aye. 5A is the report by the department on the status and disposition of LAFD matters considered and referred to committees and other departments, etc.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Julie, and Sandy. Happy New Year. And I'm Chief Everett, the Chief of Staff, to provide you with the update from Council and committees for the short time period of December 14th through the 17th. We had 3 items that went through back in that time period, and then the Council went on recess. So we had a long time where we didn't have any items. However, they made up for it today. We had about 4 items in public safety today, and we also have 3 more items in City Council today that I'll be able to report back to you on next meeting. During today's public safety meeting, they are discussing our recruitment plan, which is most of note of all of the items. And so we are doing a presentation for public safety on the upcoming recruitment campaign, and Chief Welch is there right now doing that. So unless you have any further questions, I'm complete.
On the on the bond question, is that can you just tell me what's going on with that?
I'm sorry, sir. Which one?
Right.
From the previous, from December, or from the upcoming?
December 15th.
50. Gotcha. So the Public Safety Committee just received and filed it. We haven't heard back on further reporting for council. They are looking at creating a bond for additional fire stations and police stations in the upcoming election, but we haven't heard back. We will be putting together a team if that's the direction that they're going to move forward with.
So they haven't directed you to
No, sir.
submit?
Not this time.
All right. Should that happen, maybe just keep us in the loop with what you guys come up with in terms of what our needs are.
Yes, sir.
We plan on having a meeting with Council Member Buscaino to discuss a potential bond in the future. We'll be talking about our Prop F bond, which resulted in 18 new fire stations. So we do have experience in this matter, and we'll see what the plan is, whether we're going to move independent or in partnership with LAPD.
Very well.
Thank you. 5B.
Move to receive and file item 5A.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5B's report by the department on the acceptance of 2015 FEMA Urban Search and Rescue funds. Oh, that's always a good question.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Commission, Fire Chief, City Attorney, and Sandy. My name is Antonio Muro. I am the Grant Manager for California Task Force 1 out of the Disaster Response Section. Since 1993, Los Angeles Fire Department has been a member of the National Urban Search and Rescue System. Each year, through a cooperative agreement, FEMA provides us with funding to support our program here for our administration, training, equipment, and travel. This is a standard agreement that we go through every year with you. This year, we're seeking your approval for the recommendations in the board report and to be transmitted to City Council and the Mayor. This year's award is relative to the last year, we are receiving $1.15 million for the 2015 cycle. The big difference in this year's award is from the previous awards, we were on an 18th-month cycle. Seeing the difficulties that sometimes some fire departments have moving that money, FEMA has extended these awards to a 3-year cycle, so we'll be able to maneuver through our monies a lot easier. If there are any comments at this time, that concludes my report.
I think this is incredible. I mean, I think it's great. I just have one question about the competitive bidding. It says, so I just want to know why they say it's not advantageous or practical.
Given the training that is required for our specialty positions, our dog handlers, we need to have these positions in place. If you've noticed in the report, we are opening up to an RFQ. These positions take about 2 to 3 years to fill. The positions that we have on our team are requirements of FEMA. If we don't have these positions filled, then we are considered non-deployable, and at that point, the team is not of use to the national system.
Okay, so it's efficiency.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, move to receive and I move to adopt the recommendation for item 5B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5C's report by the department on 5C's report by the department on its partnership with Brycer LLC.
Madam President, members of the board, Fire Chief Terrazas, City Attorney Rafish, if I pronounced that correctly, Fire Department administration, attendees, and guests. Good morning. My name is Matthew Gatewood. I'm a Fire Captain 2 assigned to the Fire Prevention Bureau. I'd like to start off by thanking you for the opportunity to come before you today and update you on one of the most innovative, challenging, and risk-taking programs of the Fire Prevention Bureau in many years. I've been assigned to the Fire Prevention Bureau for the past 9 years. I currently work under the direction of Deputy Chief Fire Marshal John Vidovich, and I am the project manager for the Brycer TCE compliance program. Following the stated goals by the mayor, the vision of the fire chief, the innovation of Chief Vidovich, in February 2015, the LAFD Fire Prevention Bureau partnered with Brycer, a third-party data management and data management collection program. The goals and the objectives of the program were to properly identify all the fire protection systems in the city of Los Angeles, ensure that fire life safety systems are properly tested and maintained, reduce false alarms in the city, reduce the administrative time required to manage these systems, and to have an impact on community risk reduction. Initially, the program was implemented in the high-rise program in February. Immediately upon implementation, the project was embraced by the industry, and it had immediate impact. Within the first 30 days, there was about a 10% change in compliance. Over the time, we've had approximately a 30% compliance ratio change. Right now, we are at a 71% compliant, 29% non-compliant with testing in the city, and that is specifically for high-rise programs. Okay. Notices are emailed and hard copies are sent, respectively, to the property managers and owners, and it is to encourage compliance. Through these simple steps, we have obtained those goals. It's a semi-automatic program. The fire department is still in control of the mailing and the compliance, but it has reduced the inspector's administrative time by approximately 85%. Nationally, more than 40% of the systems that are tested on an annual basis will have some form of deficiency. The Los Angeles City Fire Department and the city is in line with that compliance statistic. When tests are conducted in the city of Los Angeles and they have some form of deficiency, the Los Angeles Fire Department and Fire Prevention Bureau require them to be repaired, retested, and submitted within 30 days. We have also partnered with the City Attorney's Office in streamlining the hearing process to effectively conduct hearings on these programs and to get the systems into compliance. To this date, we have conducted 11 hearings with a 64% success rate on them. Now, in actuality, that's 100%, because those systems would not have been brought into compliance without an extensive commitment of both the city attorney's office and the fire department personnel. Today, the Fire Prevention Bureau is working with emergency operations to accurately collect data relating to false alarms and unwanted alarms in an effort to identify the association between these systems that are not being maintained properly and the false alarm number that goes out on the city each day. Battalion Chief Andrew Warden, who will speak on this matter at a later date, is the project manager for that program. Just as the high-rise buildings implementation has had a significant impact, and as I said, it was a 71-29 ratio in 11 months' time. We have not gone a full 12 months with the program yet. That is the anticipated result of over 100,000 buildings that we have in the city of Los Angeles. Out of those 100,000 buildings, anywhere between 1 and 4 systems are associated with each one of those buildings. We look to have the same change in the program and in the compliance ratio. That concludes my presentation unless you have any questions or follow-up.
Yeah, just some background on it. So this is basically just it's just a program. It's just a database. Not necessarily, but it's just technology, right? And we're still doing inspections?
Absolutely. This is one element in an inspection process. Right now we have a physical inspection that still takes place in the facility where a fire inspector walks through the program. This portion of their compliance, their enforcement efforts, was taking an extensive administrative time, and it was difficult at best to maintain records. We would receive these tests, which could be anywhere from 16 to 24 pages, would be mailed, faxed to the fire stations, to the inspectors, and then they would sit in a hopper or on a desk until the inspector had time to update each one of those pages into the system. Right now, we're harnessing the efforts of the testing companies to real-time data. As soon as they conduct the test, they're able to submit it, and then the fire department gets statuses on that particular property immediately.
Okay. I noticed that you make a reference here to contractors. It provides a secure cloud environment in which a contractor that inspects, tests, and maintains. So does that mean that we also use contractors to do this, or is it our inspectors? That was just a little bit unclear to me.
There, in the industry right now, there is a term that they refer to a tester as an inspector, but that is in that particular industry. For the fire department portion of it, when we refer to inspector, we're talking about a fire department sworn firefighter than inspector.
But
the industry is actually comprised of testers that go through a fire department certification to conduct the test.
Right, but what about contractor as opposed to tester or inspector? Because that's what you have in page 2 in the last paragraph.
Page 2.
Because it's our inspectors, right? It's our inspectors who
Our inspectors are the only ones that conduct inspections of the facilities. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was just confusing to me, that because we use the word contractor.
So that's basically the same as tester, correct? Contractor is the tester.
Is the company in which the tester works
Correct.
for.
So it's not us. It's an independent third party.
We don't test the alarms. We don't test the alarms. We inspect them.
That is correct. We validate the test that was conducted.
By Brycer. No, not by Brycer. Brycer's sorry.
Is there a third party besides Brycer? There's also a contractor, and there's us.
I can understand the confusion. We have the building, and then we have an alarm system, a fire life safety system in the building. Then someone has to test that system. That is a certified tester. They come to the fire department, they take an exam, we do an interview with them, and now they can go out and test those systems. Okay? They are contracted by this building to do the test. Their company that they work for, and it can be any number of companies that we have. We have over 500 companies right now that are conducting this business.
So we certify them.
We certify each individual to do work in the city of Los Angeles based on the NFPA codes and the fire code.
Okay, I see. But the building contracts them.
The
We
building
certify
contracts
them, and then
we are not in a
choose.
contract with anyone other than Brycer and the compliance engine in relation to fire life safety systems.
Got it. Okay.
Madam President, there are two things that come to mind when you do this report. Once we talked about, and I haven't heard, and maybe we could do this, the a fee for the false alarms for the alarm systems. I'd like to. I haven't heard back from that. And I want to know, I've noticed that in the renovation of many of these high rises, as he spoke of them, and some of the older buildings, they're replacing the fire escapes with balconies. Is there another plan and system in place for them to escape the buildings?
But there is a connection to false alarms with this, right?
That's the study that is being conducted right now, where the Fire Prevention Bureau and Emergency Operations is pairing together and collecting data after emergencies, yes. And then Chief Warden will address that issue.
And then the balconies is a separate thing that we can look at later. Okay.
I'd like to add some comments. Commissioner, did you want to say something?
Only, I'm happy to talk to you. I've been staying on top of the false fire alarm issue, and so that's progressing. And so I'm looking forward to Chief Warden coming back with some of his data. I'm hopeful that that's gonna be back in front of us as a commission in the next couple of months.
Oh, okay, good. It just triggered my memory.
Yeah.
Our assumption is that this will reduce false and unwanted alarms, and that's what Chief Warden is working on. But I want to make a comment about Brycer and the compliance engine. We had we met this company at a conference, and we saw a great opportunity for partnership. We had the Fire Prevention Bureau designated as an innovation center, and through the assistance of the city attorney and Bob Stone from the mayor's office, we were able to enter into an agreement with Brycer. And the amazing thing about this is that within a relatively short period of time, we've dramatically increased our compliance rates for testing of the fire protection systems at no additional cost to the department. The testers have to pay an additional small fee for each appliance that they test, and that goes right to Brycer. We're not involved in that at all. So we're leveraging technology to increase compliance rates of our fire protection systems. And now we're expanding it citywide, and we're taking out the responsibility from the fire stations to monitor these tests, which we found out wasn't getting done to the level that we wanted. And now we gave it to Brycer, and we're starting to see improvement in that as well. So it's been a great partnership. On the last page, on page 4, you see that Long Beach also signed up with Brycer, and we get inquiries from Atlanta, San Francisco, and Chicago. They are thinking about entering into the same relationship. We were the largest. We weren't the first, but we were the largest department. And it was somewhat of a risk, but so far the results have been pretty amazing. We're very happy with it, and we're looking forward to this partnership to continue. Thank you, Cap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, move to adopt the recommendation for item 5C.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
5D is report by the department on the renewal of the affiliation agreement with Mount Sac Community College District.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Terrazas, City Attorney Sandy. What you have before you is the renewal of the affiliation agreement with Mount San Antonio College, the Community College District. And what it basically is it allows paramedics from their program, their trainees, to have a field internship on our rescue ambulances. They need approximately 20 shifts or approximately 480 hours of a ride-along. It actually provides more regionally based paramedics that we can actually recruit from, and it also gives our paramedics an opportunity to actually evaluate these members along that process. As Chief Terrazas has stated, paramedics are very important, and we are one of the largest providers as far as internships for the entire region. And what we're looking at now is basically seeking your approval to continue our affiliation with Mount San Antonio College. Any questions?
Okay, move to adopt the recommendation for item 5D.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And 5E is report by the department on the approval of the vocational educational training agreement between the city and the Los Angeles Community College District. See you again.
Again, Richard Rideout, Deputy Chief Training and Support Bureau. Good morning.
We should have taken those all together, right?
Yes.
Should we? Should we take E and F also?
Yes.
No. Okay, yeah.
It's actually G.
Oh, is there a G also?
Yeah,
G.
G.
Is,
Yeah. Let's do that.
G is the
The one with UCLA, right?
Yes, it's an affiliation agreement, which is basically the same. We've had a relationship with UCLA for approximately 30 years.
Just for clarity, we're taking up 5F. No, 5E and 5G.
5E and G.
Okay. Go ahead.
It is basically the same affiliation agreement. We've had a relationship with UCLA for approximately 30 years and providing internships. We've had a graduation there recently. They've been our partners for a long time, and we've actually been able to actually broker even lower as far as cost for our paramedics for actually putting people through their program. So, and we're seeking approval for this affiliation agreement also.
Okay, move to adopt the recommendations for item 5E and 5G.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. So 5F is a report by the department on the Certified United Program Agency Deficiency Progress Report, CUPA. Update. This is update number 3. Hi.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Fire Chief, City Attorney, Sandra. My name is Dan Dragato. I'm Captain 1 in the Environmental Unit, CUPA Section. And I'm here to present for the second time. And what I'd like to talk to you about is our report. Our 4th report is due on January 23rd. We're finishing it up at this point, and we've made some great progress. The last time I'd spoken to you, we had 3 deficiencies that were uncorrected. At this point, we have 3 of the 19 that are corrected, and we have 16 that are work in progress. Commissioner Glazier, you'd asked last time for some sort of timeline for each one at that point. I tried to get together with some focus groups, and as well as I've been to some CUPA meetings in the Southern California region. It looks like some of our deficiencies that we have are around the entire region, things that we are not able to correct. It could take some time. Again, I've been in the unit for 8 months, and I need a little more time to see where we're going to go. And it's going to also take the efforts of a CUPA manager. We did have interviews last Friday for a CUPA manager, which probably should be on the chief's desk, I think, this week for approval. We have some very good candidates as well. As far as the program itself, our inspectors are doing a fantastic job. Last time I had spoken to you, we had about 185 tanks that were overdue. Commissioner Haro, you had asked how many tanks were at that point, and we're down to 108 at this time. We expect that this next quarter we'll be down to probably 70% of that. We've kept up on the current amount of tanks, and we're at the high 90 percentile. So they're doing a fantastic job, the inspectors. Our administrative enforcement order, which I had talked about before, which is a mandate by the state that all CUPAs have this, and it's in an enforcement section in the businesses in the business community that are recalcitrant or grossly negligent. At that time, on our last time we'd met, we had collected $38,000, and at this point we're at $77,000. So we're doing a fantastic job. And that's it. Could I have any questions?
Okay, so thank you for the report. It definitely looks like we're seeing progress on here. It's good to see.
Yes, sir.
Corrected on there. So, again, I think what's just helpful for us is because this stuff is really dense and there's a lot of technical stuff. It's just hard to understand what's happening.
Yes, sir.
In there. So if it's possible, again, just to kind of have just a cover sheet, just kind of saying, what you basically said, but something, it's just a record for us of
For each deficiency, sir?
When you come with not for every, no, just a one-page cover that basically says, we're making progress, we expect, 6 out of 12 of them are going to be corrected by, even like a little table the following be corrected by
Yes, sir.
next January, just so we kind of have a running record. I get that it's complicated, and so it doesn't make me. It makes me wonder a little bit about if there's a regional issue, what does that mean for us, and will the state regulators look at that and say that's a regional issue, so we're not going to make an example out of you, LAFD, or what? But I think it's just kind of helpful to have something in a little more plain English. It kind of gives us a sense of what the timeline is.
I'll definitely break that down for you next time. And the state's been working with us a lot. They've actually extended out to us, which has been fantastic. We've had a great working relationship with everyone so far.
Okay.
So by regional issue, you mean all the other
Southern Cal, I've been in meetings with other Southern California CUPAs, and they've had similar issues that we've had. And one of them is a program called SERS, California Environmental Reporting System, and they're all having the same issues that we're having. So
at a certain point, you have to start to wonder if it's like the CUPAs or if it's a state issue.
Yes.
Instead of, the local jurisdictions. But in any case, it's like we still have to solve it, or we have to do our best.
And that's what we're trying to. We're definitely working toward that.
So we're getting a new CUPA manager.
We have interviewed. We had 2 very good candidates, and they were interviewed on Friday, and now it's just a point of giving it to the fire chief to decide where we're going to go from there.
Is that a civilian? Yes. Okay, good. So a civilian expert with some expertise in this.
Yes, okay, definitely, most definitely.
So just to kind of, so the completion dates here, we're looking at most of these. Are these good dates on here? June 2016 and March and June then, or you think those will slip?
That was brought about by our acting CUPA manager, who is no longer the acting CUPA manager.
I see.
So I've tried to reevaluate this, but I'm really looking forward to getting a CUPA manager involved so I can get some guidance as well. But working with the inspectors, like I said, we've put together these focus groups to see where we're on board, and I've been in contact with Chief Laura Fisher, who's part of the State Water Board, and she's helped us along as well. But I really don't have a definite date.
Okay, so right now we've got some capacity issues that are about to get solved.
Yes, sir.
That we think are going to help us just have a little more clarity on where all this stuff stands.
Most definitely.
But our folks are making progress in the field.
Yes.
I did notice it seemed like we're having a software issue on one of our with the Envision Connect software. Is that something that you guys need help with, or is that?
No, because right now, because of Envision, it's getting taken over by another company called Excella, so there's been a transitional phase change. We have one member that's very involved and has actually brought the whole program up, so that we're actually working well with it. We don't have the issue.
Okay, but generally we should be prepared, because you guys do have this nice table here, which I do appreciate of the project. So we should be prepared for the next report for a bunch of those dates to slip, probably.
Possibly, yes.
Okay, and as far as our state regulators go, hopefully they're prepared for that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I guess next time we see you, we'll get a report back from the state, right? We'll see that state.
It takes them a significant amount of time to get back to us. Usually, we only get the report about a month before we're supposed to report back to them again. So even though they haven't gotten back to us, we still continue to work in progress, working toward correcting it.
But that would be the next time we see you, is when we get a response.
Yes, sir.
On some of these things. Okay. All right. So we'll keep on tracking here, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
okay.
somebody want to move?
Yeah, move to receive and file item 5F.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So 5H is verbal report by the department on the annual smoke alarm campaign.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Happy New Year. Madam President, members of the board, Chief Terrazas, City Attorney Ms. Rafish, Sandy, Fire Administration, guests and attendees. I'm Captain Stacy Gerlich, newly assigned to the Fire Prevention and Public Safety Bureau. I am the Community Risk Reduction Unit Commander. We will, I'm sure, have a report on that in the near future. But for today, I'm actually helping Chief Warden, who's at the Public Safety Committee meeting. And we're here to talk about the smoke alarm field education program. And we have partnered with American Red Cross and MySafe LA. And the focus of this program is obviously to help reduce fire fatalities due to either faulty smoke alarms or no smoke alarms being present in the homes in which these fire fatalities have occurred. Just a brief recap, on February 5th of 2014, as I'm sure you're aware, LA City Council passed a council motion 14-0135, stating that back in the first 29 days of 2014, there had been 7 deaths in the city of Los Angeles due to non-working smoke alarms or no smoke alarms being present where those deaths occurred. We had, again, in collaboration with American Red Cross and MySafe LA, came together. We had a number of smoke alarms being distributed from the fire stations in different communities. And at this time, I would like to bring up Cameron Barrett, David Barrett from MySafe LA, Joselito Garcia Ruiz from American Red Cross, and Guillermo Sanchez as well from the Red Cross, to give you some more stats on this information.
Should I start? Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Hi, City Attorney Raffage, Chief Terrazas, Commissioners, Sandy. Good morning. Thanks for having us. I'm Cameron Barrett. I'm the Education Director for MySafe LA. We appreciate you giving us a few minutes to explain our smoke alarm initiative in 2015 and to review some of the numbers. Commissioner Ninberg, congratulations on your appointment. A little background on MySafe LA. We are the unit of a nonprofit organization called the Safe Community Project, and we're a professional, privately operated fire prevention and life safety organization. MySafe LA focuses on education as the primary way to create an opportunity for fire prevention, and we specifically target students, older adults, families, and even firefighters. We have uniformed members. All of them are EMTs or EMRs. We go through extensive continuing education. We're managed by a board of directors, which is populated by current and retired firefighters, as well as business experts and media and education experts. MySafe LA has been installing smoke alarms for about 3 years now, and we helped develop the SAFE program, Smoke Alarm Field Education Program, for Fire Chief Featherstone in February 2014, the interim fire chief. And we also support the LAFD and American Red Cross with their smoke alarm initiatives, as well as conducting our own. Let's do the numbers. First number, 517. That's the number of smoke alarms distributed to the junior fire inspectors that we have badged in the LAUSD over the last, well, that's just from 2015. The Junior Fire Inspector Program is a hallmark program of ours. It's going on its 5th year. What happens is we teach kids how to inspect their homes for safety issues. If they come back to us and they say they need a smoke alarm, don't have enough, or don't have any, we provide them. So 517 have been passed out in 2015. 4,476. Those are the number of alarms that we have installed through appointments. 321 are the number of carbon monoxide detectors that we have also installed during those appointments. The way that people come to us and ask for us to come and install is through a series of different venues. They can go to mysmokealarm.org. They can go through the 888 number that we provide, and we also sign them up at different events. We have installation teams who spend probably 90% of their Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays going all over the city and installing smoke alarms in residents' houses. While we're there, we have literally taken down hundreds of non-working, non-functioning, and very, very old smoke alarms. 137. That's the number of smoke alarms we've installed via the SAFE program. We have responded to every single one of the SAFE call-outs. The SAFE program is when there's been a fatality fire or a significant incident, we help the LAFD canvass the area after a significant incident. 1,445. Those are the number of smoke alarms that we have installed during canvassing events that we do with the LAFD. 64, the number of carbon monoxide detectors installed during those canvassing events. When we canvass, we send out teams of 3. We usually have multiple teams of 3. And one of the proudest numbers that we've got here is the efficiency of those teams. In a typical 4.5-hour canvassing event, every single one of our people installs 21.5 alarms. 2,750, those are the amount of smoke alarms that we've provided to the fire department when they specifically asked for that, either through bureau or battalion requests. So that total is 9,355 smoke alarms and 385 carbon monoxide alarms. Any questions?
But I have a comment. I think I talked about this before, but you can never give praise enough, so I'm going to praise them again. They did come out and do a disaster prevention workshop for us last year, and we had about 200 people there, and they are still talking about that presentation, and they want them back again this year because they do such an excellent job. You should see their visual presentation. It's so appropriate for seniors, and the group they were talking to were retired teachers. So I commend the group, but they do an excellent and outstanding job.
Yes, thanks so much for all the work you guys do. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great job.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam President, Commissioners, City Attorney, Happy New Year. And I personally wish you prosperity and happiness in this new year. In the American Red Cross, we want to send the fire departments to allow us to be a good partners and engage in this initiative to save life through the installation of smoke detectors. Our numbers, just to go straight to business, we, from October 2014 that we engaged in this initiative through December 2015, we canvassed about 8,000 homes in the LA City and the LA County, because we cover the LA County and 2 other counties. We make home visit to 1,000 families. That means that these 1,000 families open the door, we sit down with them, and we was able to engage in a conversation about fire preparedness and also to teach them how to develop a basic evacuation plan during fire. So of these 8,000 families, 1,000 opened the doors, and we was able to sit down for at least 20 minutes to educate them in that topic. We serve over 5,000 people, and we install the 10-year smoke alarms in 3,300 homes. We start replacing batteries in the first year when we initiate that, but this year I decided to my team that we invest a little more money, but we decide not to replace batteries and to replace the entire smoke alarm, because it's, and with the new one that is a 10-year, because it's, again, it's behaviors, it's in 6 months, they happen, they don't replace the batteries. I think that they will happen again in the next 6 months or a year. So we decide to replace the entire smoke detector. And we was able to again make of the 1,000 families, 694 made the escape plan for their family. We was working in some priority communities like Van Nuys, Koreatown, East LA, El Monte, South El Monte, Paramount, Pico Union, Bell Gardens, South LA. The city of San Fernando is in our target. And we have other cities like Palmdale, Ridgecrest, Long Beach, Artesia, Newhall, Pomona, and Rosemead that we are working on target to continue with our campaign. The smoke detector installation is is also attached with the other program of the Red Cross. We want to work in this community, not making one touch, but making multiple touch, in only that we can create this culture of preparedness and prevention. So in addition to the smoke detector, then in the schools we have our pillowcase program that is also educating the children in 3rd and 5th grade to develop their plan and help their families develop their own plan on fire escape and fire prevention. So their plan is to go to the same communities that we are doing the smoke alarm installation and go to that schools and do the pillowcase. And then we're going again to the same communities, going to the senior centers and provide the Prepare You program. So we package our service of education in this community to support the reduction of death. That is our campaign for fire safety. That's it. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you also for all the work you guys are doing.
Good morning, Madam President,
Good
members
morning.
of the Commission, Chief Terrazas. It's an honor to be here today. Just to conclude, the key to the smoke alarm program is our partners and our partnership with MySafe LA and the American Red Cross. It allows us the opportunity to increase awareness in our community, to be able to educate that community, and to be able to save lives. The key to that is that installation, so that that smoke alarm doesn't remain in the package in someone's home unused, unable to save their life in the event of a fire. So through the partnership with MySafe LA and with the American Red Cross, we've seen a great success story here in 2015 and looking forward to a similar success story here in 2016. We have many events planned. The fire department will continue the smoke alarm program at Fire Service Recognition Day as well as Fire Prevention Week. We also, MySafe LA has a number of planned events upcoming in 2016 as well as the American Red Cross. So the fire department will be in support of these events as well as any spontaneous events that may take place due to a fatality fire. So again, our partnership has really blossomed and we have done a great job in protecting the public. So my thanks go to MySafe LA and to the American Red Cross for all of their efforts.
Thank you, and congratulations for all your work.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to add some comments to that as well. You know, we put out a press release last week. For 2015, we had 11 fatalities. 2014, we had 24. 54% decrease. And it's not just the LAFD. It's a partnership with MySafe LA and the American Red Cross. Also Brycer, when you think about it, because we've tested more alarms. Also our response times. And our goal in this year is to continue to improve. The community risk reduction section now, this is actually a form of that. We're looking at risk in various communities. Proactively, we're out there identifying areas that we may need more smoke alarms. And after an event happens where we have a fatality or some serious injuries, we canvass the neighborhood. We're going to continue to do that, and we're going to do that in different areas. We're going to continue to evaluate risk in different ways. The number one project, we'll continue the smoke alarms, but the number one project for our new section is to increase CPR awareness. So we are on track to do even greater things, and we're going to keep the momentum going on this effort as well. So thank you all. We appreciate your partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much.
So, good. 5I is verbal report by the department on the quarterly fire stat trend analysis.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Terrazas, Council. My name is Al Poyer. I'm the Battalion Chief in the Fire Stat LA section here for your quarterly update on trend analysis and updates what's going on with the Fire Stat section. First of all, we had some major staffing changes. It's a small section, but our Fire Stat manager chose to seek a position closer to home in San Diego County and has gone back to work in San Diego County, but a blessing in disguise. We were able to bring over Drew Steinberg from the Mayor's Office of Public Safety as our new Fire Stat manager. She's been on board for about the past month. Came up to speed really quick because she was our liaison to the Mayor's office at that time, so it's been good for our section. Additionally, our senior clerk typist, Jennifer Corona, has accepted a promotion to management assistant, so we'll be replacing her in the near future too. It's a loss to us, but again, it's bittersweet because she is being promoted, staying with the fire department, going over to Homeland Security. With regard to trend analysis, one of the things that we've seen that's been publicized is a 14% increase in our call volume over the past 2 years across the entire department. But one of the things that we want to point out is that while it's a 14% across the department, some districts maybe don't see an increase at all and maybe see a decrease, and other districts see a dramatic increase. And what we've seen is a large increase at some of the districts here in the downtown region, Battalion 1 and Battalion 11. Those trends and the data from those trends drives the conversation, the dialogue about where we place that fast response vehicle. So when you see that first FRV that we placed, 201 placed here in Battalion 1 and Battalion 11, it was not intuitive. It was driven by dialogue, conversation, and data. Additionally, the second FRV 401 placed out in the valley was done the same way. And we use that same data and information to drive where we place the nurse practitioner response unit, and then it's driving the conversation about increasing and expanding those programs as well. And we'll continue to watch that.
Are you talking about call load or response times when you say the increase?
Call volume.
Call volume.
Call volume. Hopefully our response times aren't increasing.
That's what I'm hoping to.
As the call volume increases, we still work to bring the response times down. It's a challenge, but the call volume is going up dramatically in the downtown region, double digits. One of the things that we've seen over the past couple of years, and we've been able to confirm, is that the wet weather drives the call volume up. Interestingly enough, it's non-EMS calls oftentimes, so we get the Swift Water Rescue Program generates calls in that. We generate wires down calls and automatic alarms, so we are very cognizant of that, and we're looking at and exploring solutions for how we deal with that when we get really severe rainy weather. Ambulance transports have not surged so far this year. Over the past couple of years, we watched the trend in the ambulance transport call volume, and that was as a result of not only the Affordable Care Act, but also flu. When we have a flu epidemic or a rise in the flu cases, we get an ambulance trending upward in our ambulance transports. We haven't seen that this year. We've been watching it very closely, and you can go to the LA County website and look at the flu trend, and you'll see that trend has not come up as well, although we are anticipating that it may happen again later on in the year. We have a new emergency operations chief deputy, Chief Castro. We've had a lot of dialogue with Chief Castro. He was very active in the performance management fire stat arena in the past, so we've been able to have some conversations with him about how the performance management and fire stat may evolve here in 2016. We're looking at different measurements, different metrics, and different ways to try and improve our performance. We're also meeting with the administrative operations entities and all the different entities as we move into the 2016 schedule. And we're on track to begin our fire stat meetings beginning February 4th of this year. And I'll take any questions you might have.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for the report. It's interesting to hear you talk about using the data in terms of where to place the fast response vehicle. There was just a story on NPR actually about an East Coast professor who had done a study on ambulances, and they had figured out that the response times were dramatically improved when they actually used data to figure out, because they could actually predict where the calls were going to happen, at least within an area. And so my guess is you're seeing some very similar trends in your work that may allow us to get even more precise about where our FRVs are doing their roaming. So that's interesting, and I look forward to kind of seeing that continue to develop. So two questions. I believe last time you were talking about there was I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but there was a moment where you were kind of considering what FireStat was, how we were using FireStat, and how to ensure that it remains kind of relevant. Did that happen, or did that not happen?
Well, we're the only large metropolitan fire department that uses performance management in the manner that we use it.
Right.
So as we collect data and information and we analyze these trends, it's a new process, and I think I may have referred to it as a marathon process versus a sprint. It's not something you can implement, and 2 years later we say, we're here, mission accomplished.
Of course.
That's not going to happen. It's going to I would anticipate it's going to continue to evolve and change, and we're going to have conversation about how to use it most effectively to improve our performance and change the way we do business.
Great. So two questions I would sort of throw out there, not for you to answer right this second, but just sort of put into the hopper as we think about how does this process continue to evolve. I think so. My first question is look, I see the data as having kind of two uses. One is centrally we have this data that allows us to make, department-wide decisions about things, whether it's coverage or an FRV or we can make kind of central command and control decisions about that. That's one use. And I think my question there is, what is our process? We have this data. How do we use that data and what's the process for using that data? Do we have do we have the data? Does it then go into with a group of people who are sort of diverse best thinkers about this stuff, who then kind of get together, look at the data, and then say, here's some of the stuff we're seeing. It's one thing to analyze, come up with trends, which is great, and it's a great first step. But then the question is, okay, well, so what? So then do we have a group of people who then kind of sit there and say, these are the trends, here are recommendations on things we should do, and does that happen in a regular fashion, which then kind of come to you and say, all right, we're seeing this trend here, and it's kind of a quarterly thing. So that's my first question. And the second question that I have is, when I go out and talk in the field, one of the questions I'll ask folks is, how do you experience FireStat? And I think for a lot of them, and they don't instantly see the value of it. And I think part of that is cultural in terms of how do we use data, and using data is a relatively new phenomena around here. But I also think that it is easy to have a data program like this and then get really focused on how that's going to benefit us centrally in terms of how we make decisions and what we do. And it can be easy to lose sight of how the field commander experiences that and how they are going to use the information. And in my own day job, I experience this problem myself of I have data that comes to me, and then I come to conclusions, and then I have to be constantly reminded by my field folks to say, okay, but what's that got to do with me? And how can we act on that? So trying to make sure that the data that we push out is coming to our field commanders in really actionable ways that they can look at in small bits to say, here is what I can do with this data, and here's how I can use it. Now, we may already be giving them that, but for whatever reason, I don't believe they're experiencing it in that way. I think the meetings are sort of one thing, but what's the sort of continuous way that we're providing them with the great information that you have and the work that you're doing? I think you're coming up with probably some invaluable trends that could be that somehow I think I worry that there's a disconnect then between what we discover and how do we make that actionable for our field commanders in a way that makes them feel like it's to their benefit, as opposed to they've discovered this on the 18th floor and now it's coming to me and they don't understand my life. And so what do I do with it? So I kind of put those out there not as a like fix it now or tell me what you're doing, but more of just like these are sort of the things that I think about when I'm using data, and I kind of put that out there as something for you all to kind of think about in terms of as this evolves, how do we continuously think about how do we make it actionable for us, and how are we using the data, using the talent that we have here, as well as how do we put this out to our field commanders and really make it actionable for them, whether it's I don't know. There's different ways to kind of push information down that kind of makes it actionable. Anyway, I don't mean to ramble.
Let me respond to that, and Chief, please add on to it. In terms of your first question, how do we use the data? We use it a variety of ways, and let me start off by saying I think FireStat, the most simplistic explanation as to what it does, it optimizes our performance. And what I'll do, I'll see an email about call load activity and response times, and I'll kick it over to Chief Poyer and say, okay, take a look at this and analyze it. Give me an answer sometime this week. And he'll come back with a full-blown report about call load in Fire Station 9's district and then we bring it to our Bureau staff, and we'll kick it around in terms of responses. The other way that I've institutionalized the process is now I have a meeting every other month with Fire Stat, with Planning, and Dr. Eckstein. Because whenever we're tweaking TDS, it has an impact, could have an impact on response times. And so that is our institutionalized approach to using the data in a most effective way. And then I know Chief Poyer tells me that multiple officers from the field access him for information specific to their first in district, to their battalion, to their bureau. So it depends on who's calling. So he can tailor the information so that they can use it and take it back to make it actionable. Now, how do our field members experience FireStat? And that's what we're looking at, evolving FireStat this year. I've met with COA. I've been talking to different commanders out there, and we're looking at stratifying the process. So we have 3 different levels. First, the lowest level will be the BCs with their captains. The next level will be the Bureau Commander and their BCs. And the top level will be me with the Bureau Commanders. So we're going to stratify the levels. And I think it's going to eventually filter down to below the captain level after we have that first level done this year. And we'll look at tweaking it as we move forward. In my travels across the country and meeting with the chiefs of New York and Chicago and Boston, I know without a doubt that I have the most specific information about whatever the topic. Recently we had the El Nino rains. And in a press conference with the mayor, I stated earlier in the morning, we're anticipating a 20% increase in our call load. I was wrong because it was 17.9 the next day. And that just tells you the power of metrics. So what is that? What do we do with that information? We know we're going to be busier. So we told the public, we're going to be about 20% busier today. Please do the following things to reduce the likelihood of calling 911. But internally, we're looking at how do we reduce those calls that drive that 20%. There's nothing we can do about the traffic accidents. But what about those false alarms that are caused by surges in the power? You know, those are more than likely falses. So we're looking at different ways to fix that. So overall, I think for giving its relative newness, it's actually pretty effective. And I anticipate great things happening as we continue to evolve in FireStat.
Yeah, definitely. And don't mishear me. It's I'm not. This is less it's not a criticism as it's really in the spirit of how do we continue to evolve something that I think is so powerful that we are. And anytime we start something new, particularly introducing something that is, as I think, really kind of culturally revolutionary to our department, you know, there's going to be a lot of change associated with that. And so, you know, I think what's important is that we are continuously reevaluating how we use the tool. And I'm glad to hear you're doing that, and that sounds great. And we are on the right track. I think it's a matter of, you know, just making sure that we are continually thinking of how are we using this as a tool, how are we making it the most relevant tool, both to you, to your command staff, and to our field. And I think you had some responses as well. But
well, just real briefly, there's generally 2 ways that we have a process for analyzing the trends, and you'll find great example is Chief Legal coming to us and saying that the resources in 9 seemed that they were busy. Intuitively, they knew they were much busier, and Chief Terrazas will come to me and ask me, let's do a deep dive analysis into 9, and we'll collect that data and information, we'll stimulate that, and that'll drive the conversation. And the other way is that we're collecting data and information, and then we notice those numbers, those trends, those changes, and that drives the dialogue. So it goes both ways. With regard to the observations about involving the captains in the field, I think it's a great observation on your part. I'm fortunate enough to be able to work in the field 2 to 3 days a month. In the past year, I worked in every single battalion in the city on a 24-hour shift at least twice. And I can tell you that when I work in the field, I get inundated with questions from the officers and the members about the FireStat and the performance management process, and I think that's a good sign. It's a good sign that people are interested in it. They definitely don't understand it as well as they should, and that just tells us that we need to work harder about educating them and involving them in the process. But I think that they're asking questions. That's a good thing for our process.
Agreed. Thank you.
I also think that we should, even though we're sort of pioneering this technology and this management tool in the fire service, I mean, there's definitely parallels with what LAPD has done. and they've definitely taken it, to a new level with predictive policing. So I think we're going to do that eventually, and I think it's going to take time. Because it took them a long time to sort of get to where they are and sort of harness, figure out how to harness the data and how to use it in the way that they're using it now. It took them way over 10 years. So I don't know what it's going to look like for us because we're different. But it's definitely going to be something that it's going to help us deploy and use new models. So I think it's going to take time, but I think we definitely have to engage everybody in the department to be thinking about how we're going to use it. Because I think in the field, they think of it as like a performance evaluation of how they're doing. And that's not all, it's a very small part of what it really is, I think, and what the city wants it to be. To me, that's the challenge, is helping them see that it's more than that. Anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And then J is verbal report by the department, the 4 bureau concept.
Oh, we have a new tech person.
Joe Castro, Chief Deputy Emergency Operations, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief, Council, and Sandy. We're going to give the verbal update. This is the first of 4 verbal updates. This update will be specific to West Bureau only, of which up until last Monday I was the commander of. And the methodology in this verbal report starts with the foundation being the strategic plan. And the areas that we're going to elaborate are either specific to one of the 9 goals within this strategic plan or are subsets of those goals, which we've moved down into tangible work tasks. What I'd like to do is introduce the staff of the West Bureau, and then I will turn it over to the acting bureau commander, which is Assistant Chief Pat Butler, for the body of the presentation. And one other thing that we do have, or that we did, that's not in the PowerPoint presentation, which is in addition to the tying in with the strategic goals, and it's also tied into measures of success that Chief Rueda and I established when we formed the geographic bureaus actually a year ago, January 11th. And finally, that was the internal stakeholders, which are the battalion chiefs that reside, and we conducted a survey that we sent out through email to really determine their vision of the success of the 4 bureaus. But I would like to introduce the staff again. Up until last week, I was the commander. We have Chief Pat Butler, who has been the Assistant Bureau Commander since the inception of the West Bureau. We have Captain McKindo, who is the EMS and Resilience Officer, also since the inception. We formerly had Battalion Chief, it was the Adjutant and Training Officer, Greg Avery, who recently promoted to Battalion Chief, and he has been replaced by Captain 2 Mark Curry. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Butler.
Good morning, Commissioners. Assistant Chief Patrick Butler, West Bureau, Madam President, Chief Terrazas, Counselor. I'd like to give an overview of Operations West Bureau in our first year. I have some handouts here if you wish, but I think with the screens it'll suffice. One thing you'll notice about the work crew we have up there, I do need to point something out. Not only all talented executives in the public safety arena, but Captain Mark Curry in the upper right-hand corner is actually wearing an executive chef outfit, and he is a competitor on national TV for cooking, and I don't mean that jokingly, but it was kind of a great symbol of the type of talent we have. The methodology that we went to basically measuring our success was we took the fire chief's directive and his vision last year in 2015, and he basically gave a very adaptive deputy chief, Chief Castro, a command to say, these are my directives. This is the way I'd like to go forward. It's also consistent with the mayor's executive directives of the Great Street Initiative, as well as the Open Data Platform. And all of these things tied together and said, here, go forth and do good. This is kind of what our intent is. But along the way, I want you to kind of measure your success and look for gaps of where you think we can improve and where are some successes and where some duplication of efforts. So with that in mind, we started off with a shared drive. We used the department's technology and opened up your basic Google Excel shared drive. And we began to input our meetings, our projects, our assignments, things that happened organically to us. And throughout the time, every month, we'd kind of gather that data and say, really, what are we doing? What is our impact on the community? And every month we review this data. We would meet with Ms. Benny Bonata, who would also integrate the department's smart sheets and to ensure that we were on task and on track with what the direction was. So let me move this forward. So the methodology kind of follow on this path. And then towards the end, within the last 3 weeks, Chief Castro came to me and said, have we measured the satisfaction of our commands to see if we're hitting the mark? And so with that, I reached out to some of my colleagues at USC, and with a very powerful survey tool called Qualtrics and a graduate student from Annenberg, we sent out a very brief survey to our command, and Chief Castro can provide the results to that. So after looking at 1 year's worth of progress, and all this information data is captured in some companion documents that we can share later, we found that what we felt intuitively was being supported by data. What the chief set out to do intuitively was being supported by data. Is that number one, 29% of our engagement was involved in community engagement, community education, and essentially listening tours, integrating with the community. Next, 26% of our workload was focused on executive and field level training. How can we mentor the next generation of firefighters and chief officers and ensure that we have a good succession plan in place and ensure firefighter safety, accountability, and that folks are getting the information, knowledge, and development and opportunities that are out there. The third area we found was that 23% of our workload went into basically administrative work and bureau communications, effective communications with the field, interacting with administrative processes, streamlining bureaucracies, removing hurdles. And so the top three tiers were essentially community engagement, training, and the administrative work and communications of the office. Now in the smaller area, the other quarter of what we did, 8% of our workload was really responding to emergencies and ensuring resiliency in the aftermath of a disaster. 3.6% of our work went towards emergency planning, event planning, such events as the Oscars and the Academy Awards. Bureau logistics and field support dealt with how do we ensure that the troops have the equipment, supplies they need to keep the wheels rolling. And then personnel management and mentoring, which dealt with how do we ensure that our workforce is adhering to the core values and the directives of the organization, and at the same time, we're developing employees that may have had a misstep, and then we're there to support them and not cast them aside. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is do this brief presentation in teamwork with the other staff, and I'd like to bring forward Captain Mike McKindo, who's our Captain Paramedic Resiliency and EMS Officer. Michael?
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. Mike McKindo, EMS Officer, Resilience Officer for West Bureau. Let's advance the slide here. What I'll be talking about is community engagement. Goal number 6 of the strategic plan talks about community engagement and resiliency. As you can see with the pie chart there, a large portion of our workload revolved around community engagement. And we did that through public and private partnerships. I was lucky enough to be a part of the Community Risk Reduction Work Group, where I learned one of the most important parts of resiliency and community engagement is forming and maintaining partnerships. So we were able to do that and accomplish many of our goals. We partnered with MySafeLA to do smoke alarm canvassing and smoke alarm education. Additionally, they helped us out with teaching hands-only CPR just last week, I taught 80 students hands-only CPR and how to use the AED over at UCLA. We supported our local veterans. We also demonstrated the importance of physical fitness by participating in local events, triathlons, handball tournaments, just to demonstrate how important physical fitness and wellness is for our fire department and the community. We participated in wildfire safety meetings to discuss wildfire safety with our urban interface, which we have a lot of in West Bureau. We also participated in homeless task forces throughout the Bureau. Currently, there's 3 larger organizations, Venice Forward, Hollywood Forward, and the Pacific Palisades Task Force on Homelessness, that are operating to help with that issue. And we've been listening there and participating in those discussions. One of the major things that we did with community engagement was the West Bureau Walk. And that really embodied our goals with community engagement. What it was a 3-mile walk in Playa Vista, the Bologna wetlands, where we coupled physical fitness with the chance for the local community to engage and walk with their local firefighters and police officers. That partnership with LAPD really helped us out with designing and coming up with the plan. And we also partnered with private entities like MySafeLA again, our community emergency response teams, and with local businesses to make it a successful event. We taught hands-only CPR there as well and discussed the importance of having the community emergency response teams in their neighborhoods. All of that goes to the importance of resiliency, and it is one part of the equation for having a resilient community. Which leads us into emergency operations and resiliency support. Another part of resiliency is the ability to recover. We can speed the recovery and help the recovery by preparation, but I think what we learned from the Da Vinci fire downtown was the importance and effectiveness in having a presence in the aftermath of a major incident, being part of the recovery. Chief?
Thanks, Michael. And the recovery effort was, and the resiliency actually goes hand in hand with what we call the continuum of incident command or emergency management, where not only do we respond, we help folks get back into business. One great example of Captain McKindo didn't elaborate so much on. There's a picture of him up there where he's handing a business owner a helmet. We put some boots on him and a turnout coat so we can go out and assess his business and get him back in business quicker. And as a result of this, 168 employees were able to quickly be rehoused in an alternative site for them to get back in business. And that owner sent me a text message last night and said, if it wasn't for your help retrieving my files and my equipment, I wouldn't have been up and running as quick as I was. And that's 168 families before the holidays, getting back in business, getting back to work. And really just talk about visionary from the chief is to say we can add a lot more value to the community we serve. In terms of emergency operations, that's an area, if you looked at our seniority, I think coupled there, we had well over 100 years of seniority. Most of that is the operational arena. And our operation basically is if there's a significant fire in our bureau, we're notified. Depending on the size, scope, and complexity, we'll be dispatched, and we'll go out there and support the incident commander. We also support fires throughout the state. This last year, the chief assisted the governor's office, and we deployed resources all over the state. And I was fortunate enough to go out on many of those incidents and see the men and women of our department at work. And so I think ultimately looking at this as a whole is that one of the final components is that homelessness in our city has also kind of jumped into the realm of emergency operations, resiliency, and other areas. So Mike's active involvement and engagement in those 3 areas is a success. As a matter of fact, the Wall Street Journal wrote an article about our involvement with the Pacific Palisades Task Force and how public and private partnerships with the Caruso family are deploying resources out there. There'll actually be a meeting today in West LA to discuss this topic. The next area I want to cover is the administrative work in Bureau Communications. For most folks, this is kind of a dry subject, but for us, we really dive into the use of technology, data-driven decisions, using data to drive our fire stat meetings, to engage input from our stakeholders, our members of the organization, and also to put together risk management policies was part of our charge also, which is one of the strategic goals is to how do we mitigate risk not only in the community but with our members. And so here's some examples of where we went out and put documents into play and put risk management procedures and policies in action in the field. FireStat, of course, became very central to everything we did. As you can tell, every one of these slides is backed up by data and our work analysis. The next area I'd like to cover is our executive and field level training, and that would be Captain Mark Curry, who will provide that presentation.
Good morning. Captain 2 Mark Curry. I'm the Training Support Specialist for Operations West Bureau. If you'd like any recipes later on, I'll be out in the hall giving those out. My main responsibility at West Bureau is to coordinate, work hand in hand with our in-service training section in delivering field level, officer level, and chief officer level training. Right now, our current focus is on fireground survival. All of the fire department is going through it. Our firefighters are working on those critical tasks, the skills that they would need when their life is on the line in that last moment. We're also working that coupling with our chief officers and our field officers on not putting our firefighters in those scenarios in evaluating risk management. And that is our current training session. It's working hand in hand with our operational goal number 5, which is to maximize opportunities to improve safety and the welfare of our members.
Thank you, Captain. The final area, actually 2 more areas before I turn it back over to Chief Castro. Event planning. Los Angeles is a world destination for tourism. 42 million annual tourists visit Los Angeles. And with that, we want folks to come to our community and our cities to celebrate freedom, and we ensure their safety while they're here. So with that, there's a lot of seamless integration with other public agencies in the city and what I call precision planning and coordination in the still of night, where we're behind the scenes helping facilitate, prepare for these events. And as you can see from the slide up there, Ciclavia, the Academy Awards, the Special Olympics, the Armenian Parade, the Hollywood March, and you could see there from San Andreas, formerly known as The Rock, but we had celebrities come out, and that's where they wanted to visit first. Before he went to his premiere, he wanted to sit down and chat with the local firefighters. And so we do a lot of event planning, as you can tell, from just basically from the data and really from the pictures. It tells 1,000 stories. We use that command post platform when we need to go out to a location mobily, and then we have special folks that support the bureaus from our tactical planning section. Mike, do you want to cover logistics?
Yes, sir. Bureau Logistics and Field Support. A major goal of ours in the West Bureau was to streamline communications and increase efficiency. We did that by having a very accomplished and talented civilian workforce. Yvonne Ruiz and Nancy Ballet were well known throughout the Bureau as being a resource that the stations could contact at any time to answer questions. Additionally, we supported the field by having annual inspections. The importance of the annual inspections was that we knew the West Bureau stations took a lot of pride in maintaining their apparatus and maintaining their fire stations. So we wanted to demonstrate the importance of us having a thorough and thoughtful inspection of it. And we did that. And it was also a time to have FaceTime with the local crews and discuss the department. So keeping our members informed was high priority for us. Additionally, we supported field training with scheduling and master calendar, supported technology, fire prevention, streamlining and efficiency, and also EMS and hospital liaison. A huge part of our job is EMS work, and it's really important to strengthen our ties with local hospitals. We did that by reestablishing base station meetings and training, tape review with the local hospitals to strengthen our ties with our paramedics and our ER staff. And as I said before, can't thank the civilian workforce at our Bureau enough. They're very talented and helpful.
And then finally wrapping up is personnel management and mentoring. And kind of our motto in our Bureau is to hold our peers and ourselves to the core values of the organization. And so when we see a problem begin to develop in the station, we address it quickly, we identify the issues, and we reach out to our department resources. The other part of this is we have a strong partnership with UFLAC. UFLAC is a partner. They are a resource for us as well, and we look to them as a resource. We want a healthy work environment. We want a place where people come and be their best and understand that while we many have differences, that we work in an environment that we support each other. And so here's an example of a post-incident analysis or critique at an incident where we have an open discussion on some areas of what we can improve on, some areas for development, and something for the younger members to also see kind of so they can carry on this kind of storytelling process to the next generation of folks. Just some closing comments also, just in terms of the office climate. It's been an absolute pleasure to work in this environment with Chief Castro, a very adaptive leader who leads by example. Not only is he tactically proficient, he's such a great listener, but also the fact is that he kept our Bureau physically fit and ensuring that our fitness is really the backbone a lot of what we do as an organization. Now, some of us take it to an extreme because Mike McKindo took first place in the last 4 triathlons he entered, and Chief Castro and Chief Rueda were the department champions in handball. But mind, body, and soul are very important to our organization. This kind of wraps up the vision of what we did in West Bureau, the fact that we aligned ourselves with the strategic goals of the department and the mayor's executive directives, which tie right into all these pieces. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Castro for some closing comments.
Thank you very much. And I think it's obvious by the presentation that I was blessed with an extremely talented and passionate staff. What began a little over a year ago with us on a shoestring budget, literally coming in on weekends and building the walls to our office, and then really for the first 2 or 3 months taking care of a lot of the logistical concerns so that we could actually function as an office, has really evolved into I think a kind of a landmark organization that the fruits of were appreciated by the field troops. One of the most important things we did right off the bat was we went out and visited every work location, and we gave them our cell phone number. And we promised them that of the many things that we undoubtedly could be accused of at the end of the year, one of them would not be not engaging with them, and that we would answer the phone when they called. And that in itself went a long way to eliminate a lot of the bureaucracy that existed previously. I think it was a great success. I look very much forward to the next year of being able to sit and supervise and coordinate and both synchronize the efforts of all 4 bureaus and really building upon what we learned in this first year that I think truly has great value to the mission worker and also ultimately, therefore, to the citizens of Los Angeles. Any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thanks so much for the exhaustive report. I really appreciate it. First, I think this is one of the greatest moves that the department has made in a while, is going to this 4-bureau concept. I really feel like it's was the right way to go. And as all things change and continue, I just see great things ahead. And so I know that as the commanders, our bureau commanders, who were kind of the guinea pigs who got dropped into those spots. First, I just want to say I appreciate the work. I'm going to lob a few questions your way. I think it's fitting that as the guy who recently got a promotion, you'd have to go first. So I'm going to throw some questions at you, and I know some of them are going to make you think on your feet. But so, question: what's different about being a bureau commander? What do you think is different about being able to operate in this way? What have you been able to do differently in Operations Bureau West?
Well, one of the big things was being given the autonomy by the fire chief to run our bureau, to make decisions that used to be made in the corner office on the 16th floor in my prior position there as the commander of the Emergency Services Bureau. Being able to, in a decentralized location, a field office with a significantly smaller span of control, therefore follow-up was significantly easier because of the more reasonable span of control, and then having the autonomy to be able to make those decisions. There is the concern that if we give the bureau commanders too much autonomy, then we end up having 4 separate fire departments, which the value of the system as as it resides now, where they come every week and we have a meeting and we discuss all prevalent issues within the Bureau, kind of lends itself towards the consistency and synchronization of the efforts department-wide. But the biggest thing is being able to, with where we previously had one member really overseeing the efforts of nearly 3,000 members in previously 2 divisions and 14 battalions. Now we have a significantly smaller span of control with one consistent voice, and that is a big part. Is our platoon duty system is really good for doing battle. It truly is. We put 1,000 firefighters in the street every single day going on 1,200 alarms. But having the value of one consistent voice that follows up and is privy to all the previous conversations, that is a huge value as it related to the old platoon duty system where we switched out commanders every single day.
What surprised you? What were the kind of the challenges you did not anticipate when you got there that you were surprised to find?
Well, one of the things we found is we set out to engage the community in a much more significant fashion, meaning I would be the face, or the staff would be the face of the fire department. And with that came the eventual expectation that we did get called a lot. The West Bureau is truly beset by very active and very passionate neighborhood councils, homeowners associations, and once we started going to the meetings and handing out our phone number and our email, they used it frequently. Many are your neighbors. But that's a good thing, the fact that they had the ability to call the same person that they discussed in a meeting, and that we still had that same autonomy to follow up and really be experts in an area, in a small manageable area. I was no longer forced to address the entire city. So it allowed us to drill down. And naturally what Chief Butler and I did was we have kind of geographically a long, skinny bureau. So we segregated most of my responsibility to the Hollywood community and most of the West Side to Chief Butler. And that model worked out very well.
What do you if you could wave a magic wand, I realize you're kind of moving on to a new position, but if you could have looked back at last year and said, gosh, I really wish I had this thing, or I really wish I had these different resources, or that I could change some aspect of what you've got there. What do you think you would have, what would you do? You could, blue sky, you can do whatever you want.
Couple things. One is, one of the things I didn't see coming was a little bit of the confusion regarding the former 24-hour assistant chief cars. We basically took their command, which they were formerly the commanders of a geographical square, and we took over that command, and they were relegated to an assistant bureau commander role. With that growing pain caused, and I don't want to say a little dysfunction, but maybe a little bit of a confusion. I didn't see that coming. So that was one of the big things. Outside of that, I think it's actually exceeded most of my expectations of value. And again, I think one of the things that we did frequently due to our connectivity to the field resources, we spent a lot of times in the fire station. And through previous relationships, really on all ranks, I think we received, for the most part, a very unfiltered view of what our participation in West Bureau meant to the field resources. And in most cases, that really exceeded my expectation. Chief Featherstone used to say that firefighters, they don't like change and they don't like the way things are. And because of that, and especially in this era of technology and change, sometimes it's tough for our members, especially our field members, to digest that change. And so consequently, I was somewhat guarded, thinking that we would be frequently attacked in a respectful manner about this change. And that really wasn't the case. Most of them embraced it. And I really, upon analyzation, think that for the most part is because we spent a lot of times in the stations, and that's very important.
Just thinking about data, was there a piece of data or a couple pieces of data that you found were particularly relevant to the West Bureau, or just kind of generally kind of the data that you found was most useful as a bureau commander?
one of the things that West Bureau is kind of, I think, a little different from the rest of the city is we have microcosms, geographic microcosms that don't exist anywhere else. LAX being a notable one, Venice Beach, Hollywood. The complexities of some of these areas, it was of huge value. In fact, Chief Poyer just recently sent me an analysis of Fire Station 63 in the Venice area's emergency response. Ultimately, I see huge value in utilizing that data to better drive deployment decisions, alternative deployment decisions, especially as it relates to the traffic gridlock that seems very prevalent throughout West Bureau. Data is like Chief Butler said, it really drove everything we did. In terms of comparing the new system with the old system, there wasn't a lot of data that existed to allow us to compare. And that's why we kind of embarked on the survey from the stakeholders. What was their impression on the level of communication they receive now versus a year ago? What's the level of job satisfaction, things of that nature? There were certain areas we could examine the amount of CTS complaints we had previously and the amount of time it took to adjudicate them, and we sped that up considerably. We looked at response times and the effect that the fire stat meeting had and us being able to follow up specifically with a smaller number of battalion chiefs to have a positive effect. We saw a huge reduction in response time from Battalion 9 for reason, and I think that was partially due to the meetings we had with a smaller group of people.
You went through a lot of the goals you guys went through. A lot of the goals from the previous year. I know a lot of them are tied to the strategic plan, which makes sense. If I could ask you to be a little more specific for this coming year, recognize that you're about to change positions, but were you to stay in this role, what do you think your 3 to 5 kind of specific goals would be for West Bureau for the coming year?
Well, and I'm not quite sure I follow you. You mean me personally, or it's the specific issues facing the complexities of West?
Well, I guess it's sort of a broad question. But if you were to say, okay, well, this year, what I really want to do is I would really like to see, we want to have a comprehensive plan in Operations West Bureau for addressing homelessness, as an example. So I don't know if that's one of your goals or not, but that's what kind of my question is. When you now have this area that you're coming into year 2 of ownership of. You look at it and you say, okay, year 1, we got this stuff done. And year 2, by the time I get to the end of this year, these are the things that I really want to have said that I got done. But like kind of specifically, not just like meet the resiliency goal, right. But like what are those kind of 3 to 5 things?
One of the things, and it's something that I intend to implement department-wide, but it may be viewed perhaps as a step backwards, but certain issues at emergency incidents have led me to the conclusion that we need to address a back to basics training type of mandate. And a lot of that is due to the fact of a lot of the statistics we're analyzing. Fires are down 70% over the last 10 years. Nevertheless, we still do have significant fires. Calls for service are increased. So what that means is reduce time to train the members. We have a succinct risk management policy that isn't always executed well at large and significant emergencies. So based on that, we're going to kind of analyze all the multiple inputs that are affecting our ability to really be as safe as we need to be and protect the citizens as well as we need to. And we're going to analyze that based on the contemporary dynamics and go back to a back to basics training approach to the members and address that on multiple fronts.
Okay. And one of my last questions here is you talked about synchronizing among the bureaus. So I could ask, what's one thing you might have learned from one of your bureau colleagues, something that they were doing that you looked at and you said, that's really interesting and I want to learn more about that or try that?
Really all of them did, I think, great things from the dynamics and complexities of each bureau. Sometimes it's hard to really equate the relevancy to our bureau. There were isolated instances. Chief Arbuthnot really drilling down on a response issue in Fire Station 91's district, and really not really embracing the time-honored LAFD method of just banging our head against the wall and continuing to respond as we have for 30 years. He developed different methods of alternate response models. Phil Flegel addressing Battalion 9 and the complexities of that, and developing really an innovative way to rotate resources in to develop workload relief for one particular fire station, and really the cognitive thought process of looking at an issue analytically and developing a solution and having the courage to really throw that suggestion out to an organization that hasn't always been receptive to alternative response models, having the courage to develop it like a project with a pilot program, having the courage to withstand the skepticism that frequently ensues, and then having the wisdom to analyze the data and evolve. And I think all of my colleagues did that to a really great extent, and I think that's really the future of the department.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Turn this on. So public comment, we have one from Mr. Dennis Robinson, a retired LAFD.
Thank you for hearing me.
Sure.
My name's Dennis Robinson. I'm retired 20 years now. I look around some of the members here, and I can say that I worked with a lot of their fathers. I became a little concerned when I learned that I'm talking to some of their their grandfathers that I worked with. In any case, I'm here today to talk about my son Stephen Robinson, and I first want to thank the commission, the department, and the city of Los Angeles for a wonderful memorial ceremony after he passed away last year in August. And the reason I'm here today, though, is there is something of concern to me. It's not as high a priority as these other issues, but I've mentioned it to a number of officers, all of which agree with me. There are two items. Number one is the retirement of the designation of Fire Helicopter 3. This was the designation of the helicopter when Stephen died, or when he crashed, died later. I was watching the news last night. There was a rescue operation over the Santa Monica Bay, and the cameras on the news media ship just focused right in on Fire 3. There it was. This number should be retired from service. That's my number one issue. My other issue is that when members retire, we are removed from the uniform completely and separated. Badges have to be turned in. I have been to a number of incidents, including the memorial for the 3 firefighters that died as a result of Fire 3, and the scrambling around to get badges and insignia to be able to wear a uniform that in my case I wore for 33 years seemed inappropriate, to say the least. And I would ask this commission to look into making it possible for retired members to wear the uniform at appropriate occasions.
Thank you.
Not everyone would want to do this, but for those members that would like to do this, it should be available to them.
Thank you.
I have 3, okay, I know, my time's up.
Yeah.
I have 3 things that I have to attend this year, one in Sacramento, another one in Colorado as memorial. I would like to be able to wear the uniform officially.
Thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's it. We could adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.